Okay, what up, friendos? I would say welcome back, but this might be the first time you've ever seen me because this is a brand new YouTube channel. I do have two other YouTube channels, one that focuses on gaming and cryptocurrency scams and going through like all kinds of weird stuff, and another one that does sort of video essay type stuff. And now I'm making a Magic the Gathering channel. This first video, unfortunately, I kind of jumped the gun on it a little bit, and I decided I was going to start collecting Magic and play Magic again. A game that I've loved for a real long time and just not played in the last sort of, I guess, other than Arena, maybe since like 2012, something like that. 2012. And in doing so, because I currently live in Thailand, I decided to go on Facebook and to see if anyone was selling any old Magic card lots in bulk, to see if I could find any deals, to see if I could find any cool cards. And I found somebody selling a collection of 900-ish cards, and they wanted 4,000 baht, which is about $100 and something, like $110 or something maybe. I've not done the conversion. And I thought, you know, I've got the spare money, I'll give it a go, and we'll see what happens, because I could see in the images some older cards that I knew were worth like $10, $15, $20 right on the front. And I was like, you know, maybe I'll lose money on it, but it'll be nice for them. Clearly, this was a collection that somebody had handed down. This was a collection that somebody had played with. As you're going to see in a little while when we start opening the cards, they're very well loved. So, you know, clearly the person selling it didn't know anything about Magic whatsoever. They didn't know how to take good pictures of the cards. And then they came over and delivered them. And I gave them the money, went on my way and organized them into piles from sets, because a lot of these cards are before my time. So I needed assistance to look online to see what was worth anything. And unfortunately, while going through the cards, I realized that I'd been scammed. Maybe not intentionally, but a lot of the cards that were shown to me in the images were not delivered to me. Now, I contacted them and they live a few hours away, which is a little bit of an issue. And there's also a language barrier issue with going by Google Translate and things. They seem to be telling me that I did get all the cards and I'm mistaken and I've been misled, but some of the cards that were in the images were not there, and I bought the cards under the proviso that those were there and were going to make up a bulk of the value back, and they wasn't. So what we ended up getting was this pile of cards here, and I'm going to say these are what I refer to as very well loved. These are cards that have clearly been played with, and they're cards that have clearly been left around to rot. Basically, as you're going to see with the video that's probably playing in the background now, we did probably make our value back and then maybe some, because old lands like that are worth, you know, 50 cents or something each. People like to play with the old lands. They're cool to own anyway, because I love the art of the old lands. But unfortunately, a lot of the cards that we actually found that had value are just they're destroyed. Some of these cards, a lot of the value came from cards like this, which are tournament cards from 2001 Toronto World Championships. And the person who'd been using the cards had obviously played with these decks. They were still in sleeves, but they were cheap sleeves, and they'd clearly been left around somewhere. If you don't know, Thailand's a very humid and hot country. They'd been left around. I had to literally rip the card sleeves off of the cards because they'd melted into the card. So a lot of these cards are just ripped, they're torn, they're frayed, they're bent, and a lot of the value did come from tournament cards. Now, it's clear that they had two tournament decks from 2001 and 2002, but it's also clear that whoever was using the decks at the time, whenever they'd stopped playing or whatever, had taken them apart and sold some of the more expensive pieces. There's pain lands in here, some classic and useful spells like Counterspell, there's Land of War Elves, there's Birds of Paradise. There's some really cool old art cards and some history of you know, having these tournament decks. But unfortunately, the tournament decks are not complete, which is a little bit of a shame. And of course, obviously some of the cards that was advertised in the listing didn't come, whether or not that was something they decided to do or just accidentally didn't bring or left behind, or if they didn't understand or I didn't understand and there was some cards that were not part of the lot. Either way, for me, it was more about the experience of just finding something, seeing if there was anything there, the wonder, the mystery of whether or not there was going to be something rare and fun. And there was a couple hits. There was a couple of cards worth like 10, 20 US dollars. Probably stuff I'll never be able to sell, especially with the state of some of these cards. But they are cool to have within the collection and something that kickstarted this YouTube channel. So something I'm definitely excited to do in the future. future if I can find any more owners in Thailand that have these lots of cards that have not already been completely picked through and not just, you know, bulks of rares and uncommons and commons that I have no real interest in owning. So I don't know how heavily edited this is going to be. If I'm going to put values up on screen, it's obviously a lot of investment in terms of time to put into the channel when I don't know if anyone's going to be bothered about viewing this or whatever, if the channel's going to go anywhere. But there should have been footage of me, you know, sorting the things out in the background, going through the cards, and then I'm going to, you know, put in a cut here, maybe speak over it as well, of me going through the cards that I considered a hit that was worth, you know, a couple dollars or more, basically. And you can see what we got, what kind of condition things are in. And you can let me know in the comments whether they got me, whether I got them. You know, did I get a good deal at about $110? Did they get a good deal? And also any tips you've got on, you know, filming these videos and stuff in the future. I do have some camera setup stuff coming, which will make it a little bit easier. And this channel going forward is going to be all things Magic. We're going to go through Commander, how to play Commander, building decks, deck techs, my cat breaking stuff under my desk while I talk on video, like always. We're going to do unboxings. I've got some Commander Masters boxes coming. Going to do some Fallout Collectors boxes when they come out. Maybe some Lord of the Rings Special Edition collector boxes that I have on the way. And basically just go through all things Magic. So here we go, starting with an opposition. Now, obviously a lot of these cards are Tournament Edition 2001, 2002. Pretty much all in pretty poor quality. There will be some prices up on screen here. In terms of the camera quality and stuff like that, I think it probably looks fine, but the focus is a little bit off at times, focusing on my hands. This is something I'll solve. I did record this video basically last minute when the stuff arrived, just because I didn't want to miss anything when I was opening them. Eventually, the idea is to have card opening on screen, camera in the corner with me on screen as well. Some pretty good cards in here, to be honest. It's just a shame that a lot of them are completely wrecked, as you can see. Obviously, in terms of value, some of these cards are, you know, a lot of them $3, $4, $5, $6 each. It doesn't really matter because you're probably not going to be able to find people who want to buy them, especially in this condition. But it is cool to see that somebody just had these lying around, and obviously it looks like whoever donated these cards or wherever the person who sold them to me got them from was really into Magic, because why else would you have these if not? You know, as we can see, some of these cards are incredibly well loved. Some of these cards were literally fused into the sleeves that were being used. It's actually interesting, some were double, some were even triple sleeved. And unfortunately, however they'd been stored, you know, it didn't really do much of anything to keep them alive. Fortunately, some of the Pain lands are actually in the best condition out of the cards that were in there. Squirrel Nest is probably one of the ones that was in the best condition. There is some cards in here that aren't tournament decks, luckily. But a lot of the value that came from the lot of cards was actually in the tournament cards. At least of the ones that was delivered. Obviously, I don't know what was taken out. It's really hard to come to terms with the fact that there were some cards that I saw that I would have liked to have had and used that was never brought. But at the same time, it is what it is. Land of War Wastes, another Pain land there. It would have also been nice to have the entire decks in their entirety, because there was the cards that come with them that show you what was in the decks, who the deck was being used by and things like that. But unfortunately, it looked like the person who had the cards originally pulled the decks to pieces and sold some of the more expensive cards at the time. Land of War Elves. Lord of Atlantis. Some more of the Pain lands. As I say, luckily these are in probably the best shape of some of the cards that was arrived, at least in the tournament decks. but just as a piece of history, it would have been cool to have the whole decks and not just, you know, pieces. This is another one that unfortunately, I mean, you can even tell by the texture of the cards that, you know, they're sticky. It's probably why there's parts that have been peeled off as soon as maybe some of the damage came from when I was taking them out of the sleeves, but there was literally no other way to get them out of the sleeves. They were fused together. There was some that there was white powder all over the cards, you know, like cement or something. It's just very unfortunate. But obviously when you go fishing on websites like Facebook, you don't know exactly what you're going to get. There's actually another card stuck to this that I didn't know existed. Oh, it's another Phyrexian Arena. So as you can see, they were in a sleeve as well that was pulled apart. So maybe, you know, maybe the cards that they delivered, they just got sticky on the way and they're stuck to another card in the pile. On the Birds of Paradise, which unfortunately does have some kind of stain on the front. Just generally, you know, unfortunately just not in very good shape, most of these. But luckily some of the paint lines are literally perfect. Like, I mean, maybe not perfect, but they're, in comparison, when you put them next to some of these other cards, they're basically perfect. We're getting down to the point now where we're going to be in non-tournament edition cards. Another Tangle. Another Sheevan Reef. A little bit more torn than some of the others. Darkwater Catacombs. Another Llanowar Waste. This one is, yeah, this one's well loved, we can say. Here we go, getting to the non-tournament edition cards. Some of these are fine. You know, this one's even in a sleeve, which I've not tried to take out yet. It looks like it might be okay compared to some of the other ones. It looks like it might be fine. So we'll take that out at a later date. Another Vault of Whispers, of which there are a few. These seem much better. They seem fine. In a sleeve that's, you know, falling to pieces, double sleeved, which is nice, but you can tell the card is not in the greatest conditions, even though that's the case. You know, heavily loved, it's fine. Cabal Ritual was a nice one to find. As you can see, my cat's coming to check out what I'm doing, as it does every time I pull the cards out. I don't know why. Maybe there's some smell on these cards in particular that's making the cat come over to take a look. Another Honda of Knight's Reach. This one is sleeved. Not sure why some were and some weren't. Another Counterspell. And another which is... unfortunately, this is one of the ones that is not in great condition. This is probably one of the better cards that was in here, and luckily in one of the better conditions, which is not saying a whole bunch because it's clearly, you know, heavily played, but a nice Hermit Druid. We have a Heartstone as well. Well, we have two Heartstones, which are fairly good. A Daze, which is in, you know, decent condition, not amazing. Definitely not going to be getting a mint on that one. Another Daze. Here we go, this is sleeved as well and in decent condition. Who knows what it'll look like after we take it out of the sleeve. But that one actually doesn't look too bad. Living Wish. Decent condition. Some more artifact lands, which are great to find in these older sets. Another Vault of Whispers. So as you can tell, it looks like the person who had these cards originally was playing with them. There's a lot of actual play sets of like 2, 3, and 4 cards. This is going to be the ones that unfortunately is, as you can see, completely fused. Like this is difficult to even get into. Like it's probably going to rip the card as we go. Yeah. To even be able to get it out. And then maybe since this one was double sleeved, it won't be so bad. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not in great condition, but it is what it is. None of the cards were in what I would call great condition. Even the, yeah, not great. Dwarven Recruiter. This actually looks like it's in fairly decent condition. Yeah, so I mean, some of these are fine. There's another cat. That's the second cat. I'm not too worried about him ruining the cards, considering the state that some of these are in. Nice Cabal Pit. Actually one of the better conditioned cards. Getting to the bottom, Careful Study. Unfortunately, I've not really set the camera up yet to focus on this exact spot, so it's focusing on my hands a lot, which we'll have to figure out at some point when we do this in the future. I'm probably going to record a pack opening later today with the Commander Masters set box, which I'll probably figure out at that point. I can probably just move this a little bit closer, to be honest, and then it'll be good. But here we go, a standstill. And that's basically, other than a couple of cards that was around $1 in value that I left in there, that I'll probably let somebody else pick through at some point. That was basically all the cards that was of, I believe, like 150 or above, according to a couple of different websites. So, as you can see, that's pretty much everything we got. What do you think? Who got who here? Was there a clear winner, or was it basically just like an even trade? To be honest, I don't really mind all too much, because at the end of the day, clearly this is someone's collection that they played with, and that it had been passed down. I didn't ask where it came from, or you know, who the person got it from, or how it came into their possession. But at the end of the day, it's clear that they didn't want it, and they just wanted to make as much money as they could off of it. And I don't feel like I got robbed, other than the cards that didn't show up, which she said she's going to look for them. Maybe she finds them, maybe she mails them to me, and if she does, then, you know, all good. That'll basically have recuperated a lot of the upfront cost in some of the cards that looked like was in the best condition, and not just a bunch of, you know, $1, $2 stuff that you're probably never going to be able to get rid of, and probably due to condition and tournament cards, never be able to play with other than with friends, which is fine, considering that's mostly how I play anyways. But there we go. There what we got. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'll look on Facebook Marketplace and eBay, see if I can find any more. I'm not the most knowledgeable person in Magic by any means. I'm definitely going to be, you know, playing a lot and collecting a lot of cards and making some of these videos. Hopefully you enjoyed, and if you did, subscribe. You know, there's going to be content coming up at least a couple times a week on this channel, and we'll see what happens. We'll see where we take it. So thanks for watching, and see you next time. Peace.